SCDN. We don't do the news in the same old way because it's not the same old world.
In Navy Yard. This is going to take you to a live look here in just a second. That's a live look. The bottom right corner, that is a live picture from one of our Fox 5 photographers down in Navy Yard. I'll take you there full. You see some flashing lights off in the distance. You can expect a heavier police presence tonight as part of that expanded juvenile curfew. If this is your first time joining us, basically what we're doing is taking you live across the city as things happen, if they are happening, during this federal show of force, let's call it. But we're also giving you a little recap of what has happened over the course of the last 24 hours. If you were watching last night, we ended our special coverage with a little breaking news from the Department of Justice. Attorney General Pam Bondi had announced that she was installing the head of the DEA as emergency police commissioner, essentially replacing DC's police chief, Pamela Smith, as the head of the Metropolitan Police Department. Now, DC's Attorney General Brian Schwab and DC Mayor Muriel Bowser immediately responded, calling the action an attempt at a hostile takeover and a violation of DC's home rule. Now, the Attorney General filed a lawsuit first thing this morning, seeking a temporary restraining order and basically challenging this overreach, as they called it, of DC's home rule. Still taking a live look down in the Navy Yard neighborhood of Southeast DC right now. So right around 5 o'clock today, we learned that a deal had been reached. I mentioned the Attorney General filing that lawsuit. Supposed to be in court at 2 p.m., but around 5 o'clock, we learned that a deal had been reached. A judge seemingly agreed with DC's leaders that it was an overreach by the Department of Justice. He ordered both sides to negotiate an agreement. That deal, DC Police Chief Pamela Smith will remain in charge of the DC Police Department, and the DC Police Department would continue to work with the federal government under the president's executive order. Those executive orders coming out on Monday, the president putting the DC Police Department under federal control and also sending the National Guard in. There was supposed to be a National Guard press conference at 10 o'clock this morning. It actually ended up getting canceled, but we did get some new details about that deployment, which I'll bring to you in just a little bit. As we're taking this live look down in Navy Yard, you see another police SUV just pulled up, flashing lights, but no major issues that we know of right now. Getting back to that lawsuit, after the deal was reached, Attorney General Brian Schwab and the mayor spoke to the media. They took some questions. I do want to let you listen into that right now.
I'm Brian Schwab, DC Attorney General. I'm here with Mayor Muriel Bowser. As all of you know, this morning we filed a lawsuit here in the Federal District Court to enjoin the attempted hostile takeover of our police department. As we set forth in our papers in the court, we made clear that under the Home Rule Act, the authority to appoint a chief of police sits squarely with the mayor, and that the right to control the local policing of our city sits with the mayor and the chief of police, notwithstanding the government, the president, and the attorney general's efforts to suggest that they had taken control of our police force and put somebody in to run our police force. I'm very gratified that the judge today recognized that that is flagrantly illegal, that it violates the clear language of the Home Rule Act, and that for all intents and purposes, the chief of police remains the chief of police. Pamela Smith, appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, remains the chief of police for the District of Columbia in command and control of the more than 3,100 professional officers that work for MPD. My sincere hope is that we don't have to be back fighting over this issue again. The government, the federal government, recognizing that the judge was going to have to make a ruling on this issue, actually withdrew and said that they're going to rewrite the language that suggested that the person from the DEA was running the police department, which was illegal and clearly not going to happen. So the key for today is to know that our effort to avoid a hostile takeover of our police force is not going to happen. Chief Smith remains in control of the police department under the supervision of our mayor. Very important win for home rule today.
I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am pleased to stand with our Attorney General, Brian Schwab, and his capable team at the Office of the Attorney General, as well as members of my team. We are grateful for the hard work that was done when we received an order late into the evening, yesterday evening, that we read as plainly against the home rule charter. Our teams worked throughout the night. The judge herself commented on the hard work that was done and presented in the cases made. And I am encouraged by the judge's remarks and the federal government making the changes that were suggested, and the judge's willingness to rule if that's not satisfactory. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take about questions. My expectation is that the key issue with respect to control and command of our MPD has been resolved today, and that it is clear as a matter of law that it is under the chief of police appointed by the mayor.
Hey, Brian, Bob Barnard over here from Fox 5. Are you concerned at all that when President Trump gets wind of what the judge ruled, he's going to come right back and do it again?
Look, all we can do as local officials elected and accountable to the residents of the District of Columbia is to stand up for home rule in our law. Even the President of the United States, even the Attorney General of the United States needs to comply with the law. And the Home Rule Charter and the Home Rule Act is very clear with respect to when the president can request limited services of MPD, limited by time, limited by emergency circumstances, and limited for federal purposes. And in all cases, those services must be requested to the mayor to be provided by the chief of police, not a hostile takeover of our police. And if it means standing up to the president, standing up to the attorney general to ensure that the laws of our country are followed, we will do that. My hope is that we do not have to be back here relitigating it. Our local law enforcement has worked collaboratively with federal law enforcement from time immemorial. This is nothing new, and it's part of what the residents of the District of Columbia deserve is a cohesive law enforcement effort, MPD with our federal enforcement partners. We don't need a hostile takeover from the federal government to do what we do every day. And my hope is we can get past this and get back to doing the hard work of continuing to drive crime down in our city, because any crime in our city is too much. We have to continue to be focused on that, and my hope is that we put that to bed today.
What's your expectation of what happens with both the homeless in the district and people without status? Do they both need to be worried that DC police are now enforcing rules that prior to this they've not been?
Look, we know that the law under the Home Rule Act allows the federal government during a course of an emergency to request the services of MPD in furtherance of a federal purpose. And whether it's clearing encampments that are adjacent to or near federal land or that might interfere with federal employees, if it's enforcement of immigration laws that are under the federal, we will have to confront that as it comes. We have made very clear, very clear that we have laws in our city and that the services that MPD provides in furtherance of a request from the president, those services must comply with the law.
Mr. Attorney General, Luke Barr with ABC News. Are you surprised? Can you, first of all, take us inside? Can you take us inside the negotiations with the Justice Department? It was a prolonged negotiation. What was that? What were those conversations like? And then for the mayor, were you surprised to see the Attorney General's memo and executive order last night, given the sort of what appeared to be cooperation between federal and state authorities?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the confidential settlement discussions and negotiations that went on today.
We were surprised. I think you know that we reached out immediately to the Attorney General as the president's designee. We had a productive meeting. She described it as a productive meeting. And without notice, we got the order.
NBC News here. Are you concerned about potentially escalating tensions between the federal agents and DC residents as we go into this weekend?
What we know is that DC residents are worried and concerned, and we have a surge of federal officers. Chief Smith's job during this week has been to make sure that if we have and while we have federal officers, that they are being used strategically. And while we aren't controlling them, we do have the ability to influence how they're being deployed.
Mayor Bowser. Thanks. No more questions. Thank you, everybody.
So that was DC's Attorney General Brian Schwab and DC Mayor Muriel Bowser earlier today reacting to the ruling out of a DC court, that Chief Pamela Smith would remain in charge of the DC Police Department, and that the Department of Justice Attorney General Pam Bondi had overextended their authority under the president's recent executive actions. Right now, you are taking a live look down at Navy Yard, that show of force, that police presence that they talked about. You can see that because tonight is the first night of the extended juvenile curfew down there in Southeast, in the Navy Yard neighborhood. It started at 8 p.m., goes to 11 p.m. The citywide juvenile curfew still in effect as well. That goes from 11 p.m. until 6 a.m. Now, we talked about Attorney General Pam Bondi earlier this evening. After that court hearing, she issued a new memo directing DC police to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, quote, notwithstanding city law. She also posted this tweet you see on the screen right now. I have just issued a new directive to Mayor Bowser requiring MPD to provide the services found necessary by my designee, DEA Headquarter Administrator Terry Cole, to comply fully and completely with federal immigration law and authorities, regardless of any policies MPD might otherwise have. Unfortunately, the DC Attorney General continues to oppose our efforts to improve public safety in Washington, D.C. It is important to note that this same D.C. Attorney General is responsible for failing to enforce consequences for dangerous juvenile offenders. We remain committed to working closely with Mayor Bowser, who is dedicated to ensuring the safety of residents, workers, and visitors in Washington, D.C. Taking a live look down at Navy Yard again, you see the flashing lights. So far, we have not heard of any major issues or any other shows of force happening in Washington, D.C. right now. We're talking about the mayor back from Martha's Vineyard. Remember, she had left the city for a little more than 24 hours. She had a family commitment there. She is back in D.C. now, was back this afternoon. Oh, now we're taking a live look at some of those federal agents, those federal officers, law enforcement down in Navy Yard as well with the masks on. I saw HSI, which is Homeland Security. I saw FBI. Remember, this is live from our photographers. This is a little raw. What you see and what you hear is happening live in real time. We'll do our best to keep you informed of what's going on. But right now, you see those federal agents on the street corner. This is down in Navy Yard in Southeast DC, where the juvenile curfew is in effect. In the meantime, there have also been some major updates in the effort to dismantle some of the homeless encampments across the city. That is one of the other major parts of the president's executive action. He has called to make the nation's capital safe again. He also says he wants to make the nation's capital beautiful again. Last night, our crews were live down in Washington Circle, remember? And it appeared that there was a standoff between some people who were living on the street and some of the federal agents who had shown up. Those federal agents eventually left, not taking any specific action. However, crews were back this morning breaking down those tents and trashing what is left. That is the video you see in the top left-hand corner. The bottom right, still that live picture of the federal show of force and the DC police down in Navy Yard. That's where right now the juvenile curfew is in effect. The extended juvenile curfew is in effect, I should say. Top left, the homeless encampments over at Washington Circle being broken down earlier this morning. Now, the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services reacted to that action this morning, saying in a statement the district had scheduled engagement to close the site at Washington Circle on August 18th. That's 3 days from now. However, today, federal officials chose to execute the closure at the site and several others. Ahead of anticipated federal actions, the district has been proactively working with residents experiencing homelessness to connect them to shelter and services. The district has and continues to offer transportation to shelter, storage of items, access to behavioral health and/or medical care, case management, and connection to other services as needed. In many cases, we've been able to help residents accept offers of shelter. Impacted Washingtonians who seek shelter will not be turned away as DC is able to expand shelter capacity as needed. DC will continue to support residents with wraparound social services, but the planned engagements are otherwise the purview of the federal agencies. Now, one of the people that we talked to last night was back out today and spoke to our Stephanie Ramirez. Take a listen.
And I saw one officer come over, and I was like, he was like trying to look into the tent. He was like, "Excuse me, that's mine. Like, can I help you?" And he's like, "You need to leave. Like, this is all getting cleared out right now. Like, pack it up and go."
Pack it up and go, you heard. Taking a live look back in Navy Yard again. You see a lot of people strolling around. There is a baseball game tonight. The Nationals taking on the Phillies. You see a lot of Nationals hats on people, and you also see a lot of DC police officers out and about. Now, going back to the homeless encampment, since President Trump's March executive order was signed, more than 70 homeless encampments have been removed by the U.S. Park Police. Yesterday, the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services had said there were about 60 remaining. Now, let's get back to the federal show of force. The agents out and about across the city last night, they said that it was going to be more of a targeted enforcement. And this morning, FBI Director Kash Patel provided an update on those ongoing enforcement efforts. He says last night officials made 18 arrests, recovered 8 firearms. He says agents also made multiple illegal drug seizures. Kash Patel says since the president's order on Monday to make DC safe again, there have been 120 arrests. Now, the White House also posted some video of some of those arrests as they went down. Take a look.
Coming down.
So that was the video the White House posted earlier showing the arrest of at least one person that we know of, which was the suspected Subway sandwich thrower, who was reportedly a now former DOJ employee. He was fired after that incident, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Now you're taking a live look once again down in Navy Yard, where a juvenile curfew is currently in effect. You see DC police out and about. You also see lots of people milling around. There is a Washington Nationals game tonight. They're hosting the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, in addition to the federal show of force and what's happening at the homeless encampments, we had the court hearing today that we talked about. There were also protests happening across the city as well. Around 12:30, members of the Free DC organization were outside of MPD headquarters. They were also outside of the courthouse where that hearing was happening. You see, that's the video in the top left corner. This was from the Fox 5 Live Zone, which aired that rally live. Before the court ruling, this happened. Members of the Free DC organization, like I said, rallied outside of MPD headquarters. Dozens of people marched. They held signs. and even chanted, DC is ours. I'll let you take a listen here as well.
Whose streets? Whose streets? That's the exact reason why we need statehood. Y'all, we need DC statehood because these are our streets and our elected leaders should be making the decisions for our people. We don't need anybody from the White House to Congress telling us what to do right here in DC. We elected these make the decisions for us, guys. The time is now that they have full autonomy to be the decision makers for what we are facing right now in our nation's capital. The rest of the world is looking at us, guys. The rest of the world has their eyes on DC. And our eyes are on the prize. And the prize is DC statehood. One more time, the prize is DC statehood. Because we are no longer standing in the backgrounds of Congress or the White House's actions that dehumanize the residents of Washington, D.C., specifically our inner city youth. Our inner city youth right now is being targeted, guys. This is a black and brown city. When I say chocolate, y'all say city. Chocolate? Chocolate? Don't forget it. This is a black and brown city, guys, and we must stand up and protect our inner city youth. And the only way that we can ensure full protection for our folks here in Washington, D.C., again, y'all, I keep coming with this solution, D.C. statehood. So when I say D.C., y'all say statehood. D.C. D.C. Period, because that is what our final rallying cry in this moment is. We need to be making the decisions for ourselves. We know right now that this takeover is illegal. It's unlawful. And shout out to the Attorney General for bringing that to light. Big shout out to Attorney General Brian Shaw for bringing this to light. Trump, as we know, is a felon. All right? So this right here is right up his mark, right? Because he continues to commit crime. And we say shame, 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 shame. Because there is no reason why our mayor and other elected officials aren't the final decision maker in the decision-making process right here in Washington, D.C. And I already stated this earlier this week. The facts are clear. Crime is down in Washington, D.C. And I gotta reiterate that one more time. Crime is down in Washington, D.C. Carjackings are down in Washington, D.C. And guess what, y'all? I also stand as a resident of Ward 1 in the U Street corridor. And my neighbors, the ones who are the most carjacked or cars broken into or stolen or what have you, are the ones who set up the 14th and V checkpoint to tell folks to turn away. And so, as one of the most highly impacted neighborhoods of the carjacking and crime that we're talking about, us as residents, and I also, again, I'm the chair of the U Street Neighborhood Association, and I'm the manager of the U Street Main Street. All platforms have stood with Washington, D.C., and we are crying out free D.C. as the rest of the city is. We don't feel that we are unsafe in our own neighborhood. And if Trump feels that way, he can move to Ward 1. I can show him the lines, and he can become a resident and maybe run for council, since he wants to make the changes to what's happening in our neighborhoods. But until then, he has a job as the president of the country. And so how about you focus on that? Crime is a problem. Guess what, guys? In the United States of America. How about that? Not just in Washington, D.C. Crime is a bigger problem in the White House because guess what? He got more felons than me. Because I'm standing with zero. Okay, period. So let's stop talking about all of the things that we shouldn't be talking about, and let's talk about change. And real change for the residents of Washington, D.C. is and will be D.C. statehood when D.C. becomes the 51st state of the United States of America. When I say D.C., y'all say statehood. D.C. D.C. When I say free, y'all say D.C. Free. D.C. Free. D.C.
So that was the Free DC rally outside of MPD headquarters earlier this afternoon before we learned the ruling from a DC court ruling against the Department of Justice attempting to replace Chief Pamela Smith. Like I told you earlier, DC's Attorney General and the mayor, they filed a lawsuit to temporarily block the Attorney General of the United States from placing the head of the DEA as an emergency police commissioner and granting him the powers of chief of police. Chief Pamela Smith will maintain command of the Metropolitan Police Department. Now, President Trump has not reacted to today's ruling because he was busy, a little busy. He was out in Alaska for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. They were talking about a potential peace deal for the war in Ukraine. President Donald Trump apparently failed to secure any agreement, though, from Vladimir Putin, and he is now back on Air Force One on his way back to Washington. Right now, you're taking a live look at the DC police out in Navy Yard where the juvenile curfew is in effect. Now, the National Guard had scheduled a briefing for 10 o'clock this morning. We told you that last night. That was canceled overnight, though. But officials with the DC National Guard did release some new information. They say 24/7 operations began today. 815 guardsmen are on duty here in the nation's capital. 680 of them are Army National Guard soldiers. 130 are from the Air National Guard. Those National Guard soldiers will not be armed, and they will operate their own tactical vehicles, not police cars. So they will be very visible as members of the National Guard. They also say the guardsmen are trained in de-escalation techniques. Right now, about 3 minutes ahead of 9:30, taking a live look at that picture from down at Navy Yard.
Thank you, Mr.
We do have a lot of people who are tuned in on YouTube right now. I did want to read some of the comments. Just a reminder, this is live. I have no control over what people want to say, but
a short while ago,
Hobo
in the
Henry
Oval
says,
Office,
how can a
President
police
Trump
chief not
signed
understand the
two
term chain of
crucial
command,
executive
rise to
actions
the rank
to deal
of
with the
police
emergency
chief?
crime
And it's
conditions
news
we
to you.
currently
Viney
face
Alexander
in the
says
District
next
of
is going to be
Columbia.
New York
The first
City.
of these was an
Please.
executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers
Viking
under
shelters.
Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take
These type of
federal
people,
control of the
absolute
DC Metropolitan
clowns.
Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed
Hobo
the
Henry, why would we
statutorily
not want
required
DC on
notification
neutral
letters
zones on politics?
to
It
Mayor
seems
Bowser
to make
and to
sense
the
to
relevant
me,
House and
says
Senate committee
DC can
leaders.
never be a
The
state.
second major executive
Tulip.
action that
We
President
love
Trump
Trump.
signed was a
Thank you to
presidential
everyone who is
memorandum
watching and
directing the
is weighing
Secretary
in.
of Defense
Just
to
a reminder,
utilize the
please keep
National
it
Guard
clean.
to address the conditions we see
We wanna
on
be able to
our
share
streets
what
here in
you
D.C.
think
It
and
also
say,
authorized the Secretary of
but we wanna
Defense
keep it
to
clean.
work with state
So thank
governors
you
to
to
utilize
everyone.
their
Tulip now
National
saying,
Guard
please come
units if
to
necessary as
Oakland.
well. These are bold, decisive
wrapping up our
steps
live coverage for
intended
tonight,
to
but of course
combat
it's
the
going
out-of-control
to
crime
continue
conditions we've
tonight
seen on
at
D.C.
10
streets
over on
for far
Fox
too
5,
long. And I, for
10,
one, am
11,
deeply proud to
then
be
Jim
part of an
Loke
administration
with the
that's
final
finally
5 at
coming to terms with these
11:30.
issues.
I've got two
We're going to
questions
keep
for you. First,
covering
about
all
DC.
of
This
this
is personal
for
me
the
as
duration
well.
of the
Last
30
year,
days
I
that
was
this
robbed
federal
on the
takeover
streets
is
by
supposed
one
to
of
be
these
in
teenage
effect.
thugs. Had a
We'll be
gun,
back with live coverage on
got away
Monday
with
and
it.
throughout
Let's
the
talk about
weekend.
the effort that between
For everyone
law
who joined us
enforcement,
tonight on Fox
prosecutors,
Local
and
and here on
judges,
YouTube,
because
thank you
it's
so
a
much.
you
I'm
know,
producer Chris.
recycling belt. Like these kids
We'll see
go,
you
they
back
don't fear
here
the police.
Monday night.
They
In
know.
the
If you talk
meantime,
about how we've
tune
got to
into
get these
Fox
judges
5
and put these
for
kids behind
continuing
bars.
coverage.
Adult crimes deserve adult.
You're going to be so important here.
Have a great weekend.
You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay? If you're soft, weak, and pathetic, like so many people, I will fire you.
What do you say to the president about his threats to bring the military?
We don't, and I think I speak for all Americans, we don't
U.S. economy,
believe
but
it's
so far,
legal
it
to
looks
use
like
the
it's
American
somewhat
military against
stalled here,
American
and we'll have to
citizens
wait
on
and
American
see
soil.
how all these details get fleshed
I'm
out.
not a lawyer, and but I think that's a fairly
President Trump
widely
and Russian
held
President
fact.
Vladimir Putin began
And
their
so,
high-stakes
and we
summit
don't
with a
believe that
handshake,
our
but
military
ended
should be
without
used
a
against American
ceasefire in
citizens.
Ukraine.
We'll call up
We're not
the various
satisfied.
people that I think are appropriate, and I'll of
We're
course
not
call up.
satisfied. We know, however, as most have heard
So,
from
friends,
the
the people
president's
of
press
Washington,
conference,
D.C.,
that he has
the police department
prerogatives
of
in
Washington, D.C., and
unlike
the
anywhere
leadership
else
of the
in
D.C. city
country,
government are
including
all
his
fighting back
authority given
against
by our
Donald
home
Trump's
rule charter
unlawful,
to require the mayor, to
unconstitutional,
require me
hostile
to
takeover
supply
of the
services
Washington,
of the
D.C. Metropolitan
Police
Police
Department.
Department,
And he also
MPD.
has control and the ability.
Let's
to
talk about
deploy
that.
What you will see is
Because
an enhanced
justice
presence. The second
matters.
thing that's really important to me, and I'm speaking directly to our community, is that we have a relationship with our community that is important to us. Our community. So having working alongside of our federal partners who have come into the city to
Hey,
really
all.
help
Glenn
us
Kirshner
assess
here.
and deal with the crime,
Well, friends,
some of the crime
it
spikes
took a
that we
few
have.
days, but
We will work
the leadership
alongside them,
of the
but
D.C. city government,
intentionally, we
Mayor
wanna
Muriel
make sure that our
Bowser
community
and D.C. Attorney
understands that
General
we are
Brian
there, we're
Schwab
gonna be boots on the
are
ground.
fighting
If
back.
you see something again, say
They have
something. We
sued
value
the
those
Trump
relationships.
administration
Our community members,
for
and I
what
wanna
is
say thank you for
obviously
all the work that you've
unlawful
done
and
with the Metropolitan
unconstitutional
Police Department
conduct.
up to this point.
An attempted
Those
complete
relationships are
takeover
very, very
of the city's
important to us, and
police
we wanna
department,
continue
the
to build upon
local
that and continue
police
to enhance
department,
that.
My
MPD.
message to residents is this.
You know,
We
friends,
know
will
that
you
access
indulge me
to
a
our
quick
democracy
personal
is
observation?
tenuous. That is why
see that
you
plaque
have heard me and
over my left shoulder?
many Washingtonians
I am probably as
before me
proud of that
advocate
plaque
for
as I
full
am of
statehood
any
for the
plaque
District
or
of
award
Columbia.
I was
We
given
are
in my
American
30 years
citizens. Our
as a
families
prosecutor.
go to war. We pay
The men and
taxes
women
and we
of the
uphold
Washington,
responsibilities
D.C.
of
homicide
citizenship. And while
branch
this
of the
action
Metropolitan
today is
Police
unsettling
Department
and
gave me that
unprecedented,
plaque.
I
They
can't
call
say
it the
that
Big
given
Boy
some
plaque.
of the rhetoric of the past,
And
that
the
we're
men and
totally
women
surprised.
of MPD's
Ainsley, Brian, and Lawrence,
homicide
good
branch,
morning.
in a very real sense,
Ainsley, Brian, and Lawrence,
speak
good morning,
for the
friends.
dead.
Once again, traditionally getting tough
They
on crime
investigate
is not
homicides,
controversial. The
murders
White House
in
is facing
Washington,
opposition
D.C.
from DC
When somebody
leaders after it vowed
decides
to help
to
clean up
take
DC's
a human
streets. We got
life,
the idea
those
of what
are the men
president's
and
unveiling
women
here. He's dispatching
who
800 National Guard
investigate the
troops,
hell
taking control of
out of
DC's
those
police
cases,
department,
who
and
make
offering more
arrests,
federal
who then
resources
work
to help the district
hand in
get
glove
crime
with
under
us, the homicide prosecutors
We
of
also got a
Washington,
statement from
D.C.,
DC City
to
Council.
indict the
They
case,
responded
to
Trump
try the
saying this
case,
is a
and to
manufactured
try to
intrusion
hold
on local authority.
killers
Violent crime in the
accountable.
district
Friends,
is at
do
the
you
lowest
really
rates we
think
have seen in 30
can answer
years.
that
The statement
question?
goes on to say
those men
federalizing
and
the
women
police
don't want to
department
work for
is
Donald Trump?
unwarranted
Do you
because
really
there
think they
is
want to
no
work
federal
for a
emergency.
convicted
Yeah,
felon?
we hear all about drugs
Thank you
down
for
in Colombia,
giving me
right?
that moment of
When you compare
personal
DC
observation.
to other countries
Let's turn to the new reporting.
around the world, look how
This
much higher
from
the
the
murder
Washington
rates in
Post.
that capital city
Headline,
per 100,000
D.C.
people
Attorney
is.
General
DC
sues Trump
has
administration
almost 28,
over hostile
Colombia,
takeover of
15,
police.
Mexico City,
Mayor
almost
Muriel
11,
Bowser and D.C.
Islamabad,
Attorney General Brian
9.2,
Schwab
Lima,
said
Peru,
the
7.6,
order
Paris,
by
1.6,
Attorney
you get the
General
idea.
Pam
But
Bondi was
DC
unlawful
is,
and
what,
suggested
27 times
they
we've
would
seen
not
FBI
comply.
and Homeland Security agents as well.
And that article
Now, this
begins,
major operation also
D.C. Attorney
includes
General Brian
immigration, and
Schwab
this is
has
new
sued
video of
President
ICE
Donald
agents
Trump
taking a man
over
in
his
custody in
executive
DC.
actions,
We've reached out to the
asserting
agency for more
control
information
over
on
the
this
D.C.
arrest.
Police
ICE
Department
also arrested
and attempting
this
to
food
install
truck driver,
an
this food truck
emergency
vendor,
police
rather, along the
commissioner,
National Mall.
one
They
of
said
the
the man's
most
in the country
extraordinary
illegally for Peru,
exertions
and
of
ICE says he
federal
will be detained
power
until
in
a
the city's
deportation decision is
half-century
made.
of home rule.
This is new video.
The lawsuit came
National Mall
hours
this
after
morning,
U.S.
where
Attorney
additional
General
National
Pam
Guard troops were
Bondi
deployed while
ordered
you were
sweeping
sleeping.
changes
ABC
to
News
law
confirmed
enforcement
the ideas
policies
for
in the
residents
city
and
and
tourists
said
to wake up
a
to see
Trump
the sight of
administration
a
official
significant
should
military
assume
presence.
all
Meantime,
duties and
we're entering
responsibilities
fourth day
of the police
the
chief,
fourth full day of the
drawing
president's
immediate
historic
legal
federal takeover of the
pushback
DC
from
Police
Schwab
Department.
and
So here are
Mayor
three
Muriel
things to
Bowser.
know this morning. First,
Schwab
the
called
White House
it
says
the
since operation
gravest
started Monday,
threat to
police have
home
arrested more than
rule
100
that the
people.
district has ever faced. Quote, by declaring a hostile takeover of MPD, the administration is abusing its limited temporary authority under the Home Rule Act, infringing on the district's right to self-governance, and putting the safety of D.C. residents and visitors at risk, Schwab said in a statement. Quote, the administration's unlawful actions are an affront to the dignity and autonomy of the 700,000 Americans.
The federal
who
government
call DC
recognizing that the
home.
judge was
This is the
going to have to
gravest
make a
threat
ruling on this
to
issue,
home
actually
rule
withdrew
that the
and said that
district
they're
has
going to
ever
rewrite
faced, and we
the
are
language that
fighting to
suggested
stop it.
that the
Schwab
person
is
from the
asking the
DEA
federal
was
judge
running
to
the police
find
department,
that
which
Trump
was
and Bondi's
illegal and
actions
clearly
are
not going to. Chief Smith remains in control
and
of the police
exceed limits
department
on federal
under
power
the
in the
supervision of
1973
our mayor. Very
DC
important
Home
win
Rule
for
Act.
Home Rule today.
Schwab
We are
asked the
grateful
judge
for
to
the
block
hard work
Bondi's
that
order
was
and
done
keep
when we
control of police
received an
with the
order
mayor and
late
police chief.
into the evening,
Friends, can I
yesterday
pause here for a
evening,
minute to
that we
interject
read as
something? Yes, this is
plainly
my
against
editorial
the
addition
Home
to the
Rule
Washington
Charter.
Post
Our teams
reporting.
worked throughout the night.
Pam Bondi is
The
trying
judge
to push
herself
out
commented
of
on the
her
hard
job
work that was
an
done and
experienced,
presented in the
highly
cases
regarded
made.
chief of police, Pamela Smith, and unlawfully replace her with this guy, Terry Cole. More about that in a minute. The article continues. DC Police Chief Pamela Smith said in a sworn declaration in U.S. District Court on Friday that Bondi's attempt to strip away her authority represented one of the most dangerous directives she had ever seen. Quote, if effectuated, the Bondi order would upend the command structure of MPD, endangering the safety of the public and law enforcement officers alike. Chief Smith's declaration said, in my nearly 3 decades in law enforcement, I have never seen a single government action that would cause a greater threat to law and order than this dangerous directive. Schwab and Bowser immediately suggested Thursday evening that the city will not comply with the order, and Schwab told Smith to continue operating as the chief, the first significant sign of resistance from the city's top officials since Trump exerted control over the police force Monday. In the lawsuit, DC attorney
Who got the fuck? Who just got the fuck? I don't even know. DC takeover. Who just ran, y'all? Who just ran? Look at him.
Damn! Oh shit! Oh, no!
Hey! Why the fuck are you clearing the handcuffs? You don't have no reason to put this man in handcuffs, sir. I'm not close to you. I'm just saying. Back up, back up, back up, back up. Don't get close enough. Back up. Back up. All we saying is why y'all putting this man in handcuffs? He showed you he has nothing. We got room. We got room. Yeah, give me on camera, boy. I'm legal. Nigga, fuck you talking about? I got legal right now. Whoever called you.
He put this man in handcuffs with no reason. Hey, don't push him, y'all. Don't push them. He had no reason to put this man in handcuffs. Y'all, calm down, y'all. Relax. Illegally detained. Illegal detained. No, he said, look, calm down. Back up. Calm down, y'all. He said he's only detained. Hey, bro.
ATF.
Calm down, y'all. Calm down.
DC takeover, man.
Calm down, y'all.
Federal officers, National Guard, mass arrest, controversy. The neighborhoods are upset.
Get out their face, y'all. Get out their face. Jack, back up. Back up. Get out their face. Get out their face. This nigga acting like he's about to fight the shit.
Child brother good. I don't care about child rednecks. Y'all come from motherfucking Albuquerque coming down here. Y'all don't even care about the black community.
Old ass, bro. What the fuck?
Oh, they trying to shoot. Oh, they trying to shoot, man. Oh, my mother, they shoot.
Calm down. He's gonna take your ass to jail. Mo, what the fuck, y'all? Hey, y'all don't leave Frank dog, y'all. Make sure they don't harm Frank dog. Make sure they do.
Wow. This is another incident that's gone viral with the DC cleanup situation. I have another one I'm going to show you too, the sandwich situation. What do you guys think about this? The National Guard, the feds stepping in, cleaning up the streets. Are you against this? Are you for this? How do you feel deep down inside?
So you said, bro, I wasn't even smoking though, bro. Are you sure? Don't do me like that, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Don't do me like that. You piss some heat up off the ground, bro. Everybody saying that, bro. Don't do me like that, bro.
At least put it.
Everybody out here. I just saw him smoking. How you gonna do me like that, bro? My car's on though. Hold on. We're gonna secure your business. Man, listen, no, ain't none of that. My car's on. I was about to leave. He said I could leave. Fuck all that. Man, listen, all that secure vehicle shit, bro. Go ahead, bro. Y'all down like Dickie and bro. Listen, bro, that's my car, bro. What the fuck? Man, listen, the key is on me and I'm not giving it to y'all, bro. Don't text me, bro. Listen, my ID is on me. That's all he asked. Why am I arrested? Listen, why am I arrested? I don't listen. Why? Y'all niggas think y'all can do whatever y'all want. I don't give a fuck about that badge. I'm a personal trainer, nigga. And I was a fire department, nigga. Fuck is wrong with y'all? Man, listen, I'm not arrested though. I'm not going nowhere. Listen, I'm not going nowhere. Call your chief. I'm not going nowhere. It's my birthday and all that. Call your chief. Fuck all that. Take your badge off. I bet I do something to your ass. Take your badge off. Fuck, you gonna let them niggas do me like that, bro? You a brother, bro. Man, get off me, man. I don't want you touching me, bro. I don't want you touching me. He already got me. Fuck on. Yeah, how about that? Freedom of speech. Fuck on. Freedom of speech. How about that now? Y'all come on, arrested. Fuck on. Come on, man. Y'all hating like shit on me, man. I ain't from.
Now, this is a viral one. Sean Dunn Charles threw a sandwich at federal agents, and he apparently worked for the DOJ, and he's now fired.
Like a fucking way! You bitches!
Just turn it up.
Motherfucker!
Threw a sandwich and then took off running. Oh, them boys after him. Oh. Oh, no. That boy running.
He cooked him!
Wow. So he got arrested. He got caught. Sean Charles Dunn is his name. 37 felony, facing felony assault charge for sandwich strike. Oh no. Oh no.
This is a good conversation. Whether you want
These are from today.
it or not.
I didn't say it wasn't. I wouldn't be here talking
The
about it.
conversation that needs to happen between law enforcement and community, we need to be able to hear both sides.
Correct.
Now, your thing is you saying there's no law there, right?
No, I didn't say no law.
I'll go with no law there, but no
Council.
standing in
Correct.
front of there must have been some kind of complaints coming from the establishment.
Yeah,
The problem is that people live in this building, people live on this street, and they're used to this. Now, it looks different for law enforcement that's saying, oh, this is a high crime area incident nation.
I mean, that's true.
And okay, that could be true allegedly, right?
It's not allegedly. The little girl's bill that's on the wall. That didn't come from
That's
Whoa. What did he say? The little girl, what? Because he's saying it's a high crime area. It's well, no, it's not. It might not be. That's what they say. Allegedly. No, it's not allegedly.
That could be true allegedly, right?
It's not allegedly. The little girl's bill that's on the wall. That didn't come from
The little girl, something that's on the wall. I
Girl's
can't
bill
remember.
that's on the wall. That didn't come from
Okay, should we go to the base camp or should we go to the? Because I'll look for the hotel while we're on the bus. Or should we go to back to the White House? Probably the base camp. Go see what the encampment is doing. 116. Yeah, it seems fine. And there's enough electrical outlets. That was one thing I was worried about. You know what's funny is the thing didn't say anything about what time you had to check in. You know what I mean? And then he's like, "Oh, I closed." Like, what do you mean you closed? I didn't see no driver in there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't leave nothing there. I think I'm gonna find a hotel. Let's look, see if I can find something. I saw something earlier for like $60 a night. Let's do this one. Get started. We're gonna walk down to the bus stop. Okay. Okay. That's a long walk. This way. Okay. Here goes nothing. Cybertruck sighting. It looked like the Kia looked like it was self-driving. Okay, this is how far? This map is looking weird. Like, why? Give me the play-by-play. Don't give me this crazy all of the map. Okay, here we go. That is not helping. Walk 1.5 mile. Okay, I can handle a half mile. So it's only 6:30 in LA right now. 6:50 in LA. 6:50 in LA. This seems like it's not a terrible, kind of nicer area. All the lovely people in the chat. Thank you, lovely people. Like a traffic circle or something coming up here. There's a popular club. I think it's a gay club. It's all guys. It's gotta be a gay club. I have a fiance already, so I don't need to go to the gay club. The gay clubs in LA got more women than that one's got. There's all guys in there. Same Pastor Bennett. Larry, you gonna chill with us for a while? No. Thank you, sir. Beautiful historic buildings. Right? The Jeffersons or something. How's it going? Good, good. Yeah, we'll make it. I made it. I don't know who this is. Andrew Jackson or something. Okay, this thing is not working very good. Okay. What the heck? Okay. We gotta get over. Am I going the right way? No. That way? No, this way. This way. That one. All right, look how close those two are. So it's a straight shot on this bus back to the White House. And then we'll go over to Occupy Rights because they'll be there 24 hours a day. But I gotta go till at least 11 p.m. for you guys in California. Keep the consistency for YouTube. YouTube's all about consistency. So don't be so mean. I mean, this part of town I enjoyed. That they were very classic buildings, and over there where I was before, where the police action was not nice. But these were very classic. It was such a super quiet street. I had nothing bad to say. I don't really feel like ice cream, but very interesting. You guys have ever heard of this kind of ice cream? Sorry. Getting away the bikes. Okay. Okay, we're looking for 50. Bus stop for 50. Go in. That is not happening. We want to go left. So we want to go this way. So not this bus stop, but it's on the street. That one. So let's go over here. And then let's cross this way. This should be. YouTube.
What are you YouTubing?
The city.
Why?
Well, normally I'm from LA.
Well, what are you doing?
So we used to do a lot of the cops.
Why?
Because we don't like them.
Why?
Because they're not good.
Can you say it real quick? What are you...
What the heck? Okay. We gotta get over. Am I going the right way? No. That way? No, this way. This way. That one. All right, look how close those two are. So it's a straight shot on this bus back to the White House.
We might have left because we're just.
And then we'll go over to Occupy Rights because they'll be there 24 hours a day. But I gotta go till at least 11 p.m. for you guys in California. Keep the consistency for YouTube. YouTube's all about consistency. So don't be so mean. I mean, this part of town I enjoyed. That they were very classic buildings, and over there where I was before, where the police action was not nice. But these were very classic. It was such a super quiet street. I had nothing bad to say. I don't really feel like ice cream, but very interesting. If you guys have ever heard of this kind of ice cream. Sorry. Getting away the bikes. Okay. Okay, we're looking for 50. Bus stop for 50. Going. That is not helping. We want to go left. So we want to go this way. So not this bus stop, the other side of the street. That one. So let's go over here. And then let's cross this way. This should be YouTube.
What are you YouTubing?
The city.
Why?
Well, normally I'm from LA.
Well, what are you doing?
So we used to do a lot of the cops.
Why?
Because we don't like them.
Why?
Because they're not good.
Can you say it real quick? What are you?
Wow, this press conference between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
We have arrived here at the White House. We got some news media from Global. And then there's some Shiites for Trump. Hotel, any hotel, find a hotel. Yeah, I might. I'm gonna look. I didn't leave anything there. I was gonna leave my bag, but I'm not sure I wanted to come back. I never stayed. I don't know who this is. Andrew Jackson or something. Okay, this thing is not working very good. Okay. What the heck? Okay. We gotta get over. Am I going the right way? No. That way? No, this way. This way. That one. All right, look how close those two are. So it's a straight shot on this bus back to the White House.
We might have left you because we're just.
And then we'll go over to Occupy Rights because they'll be there 24 hours a day. But I gotta go till at least 11 p.m. for you guys in California. Keep the consistency for YouTube. YouTube's all about consistency. So don't be so mean. I mean, this part of town I enjoyed. That they were very classic buildings, and over there where I was before, where the police action was not nice. But these were very classic. It was such a super quiet street. I had nothing bad to say. I don't really feel like ice cream, but very interesting. If you guys have ever heard of this kind of ice cream. Sorry. Getting out of the way of the bikes. Okay. Okay, we're looking for 50. Let's stop for 50. Going. That is not helping. We want to go left. So we want to go this way. So not this bus stop, right? It's on the street. That one. So let's go over here. And then let's cross this way. This should be YouTube.
What are you YouTubing?
The city.
Why?
Well, normally I'm from LA.
Well, what are you doing?
So we used to do a lot of the cops.
Why?
Because we don't like them.
Why?
Because they're not good.
Say it real quick.